Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Geek-Minded Fools. My name's Graham.
And I'm Scott.
We'll kick off, as usual, with the visit to Scott in his monkey farm.
Hey, partners, it's time to see what Scott's doing down on his monkey farm.
Welcome, sir, once again, as always, to the monkey farm.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
You're always welcome. Come ye in.
Oh,
Yeah, that was pretty cool. That's Old English for you.
it certainly was. Verily.
Right, I will make a little apology at the start here. I am a little bit bunged up and a bit coldy, so sorry to you.
Well, I was last week, so that makes us even.
So no kissing tonight, okay? I'm going to have a cuddle,
all right.
but no kissing on the lips.
Okay. Spoon?
We can spoon.
Hey.
Hang on, which spoon are you going to be, big or little? Both.
Big, of course.
Both. More a ladle. What have I got for you this week? I've got a couple of bits of news for you. One regarding a huge franchise of movies that's just been given its latest instalment's title.
Oh, yes.
And also, as well, a bit of news about a certain Claude superhero. And I think, why not? So once I'm done with that, because you did such a sterling job last week.
I did, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. I like the fact that you know you did as well. You're
Confident.
Like, I
Yeah.
did, didn't I? I'm going to let you do some more news this week as
Lovely.
well.
Thank you very much.
I think it's just that I'm getting lazier in my old age, if I'm honest. But anyway, we'll crack on. Okay, so we all loved The Force Awakens, didn't we?
Well, yes, we did.
We did. So do we think we're going to love The Last Jedi?
Well, I certainly hope so. Yes, it's an interesting title. Obviously, remains to be seen to whom
Do we think
The Last
it's Luke?
Jedi refers.
Is it Luke or is it Rey? I mean, could it be... I can't even remember the other one's name. Finn? Was Finn the guy played by...
He was Finn, yes. John Boyega from Attack the Block.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
We haven't lost it, have we? We haven't lost it.
It's still there.
Still there. So yeah, I mean, I can't help feeling a little bit underwhelmed by the title, but we'll see what happens, eh?
I'm alright with it.
We'll see what happens. As long as it's, I do hope it's very much Luke centric, as it were. I want to see a lot of Luke in this.
I think we will. The only thing is, with a title like that, if it does turn out to be Rey is The Last Jedi, how much of Luke will we be seeing?
Indeed. I mean, in other slight bit of add-on news to that as well, they've also come out and said that they will not be using any more CGI of Carrie Fisher, will they?
No, quite right. Right.
And rightly so.
But obviously, she was all filmed for Episode 8 anyway, so it would only be 9 that would be missing her. But no, I fully agree with that decision. I think it would be a little disrespectful.
Yeah, indeed. So let's move on. Let's give you some more news and some news.
Let's do it.
Some news that very much excited me. Well, I say news. The trailer dropped, or the second trailer rather, for Logan, which is going to be the standalone kind of Wolverine swan song. Have you seen the trailer? I assume you've seen the trailer.
Oh yes,
I would hope so. It's on our Facebook page. That's Geek-Minded Fools at facebook.com. Wow, what a trailer!
I know, amazing, isn't it?
What an amazing trailer! It's just packed with kind of like really moody kind of vibe, isn't it? It just looks great. I like the little lass they've got playing X-23 as well. She looks very, very cool. I think the standout moment for me in the trailer is definitely. Now you're gonna have to remind me again because you've reminded me this in the past. Who are the group of hunters that are hunting Wolverine? You got the guy with the metal arm, haven't you?
I can only assume they're Marauders.
The Marauders,
but,
that's it.
Yeah.
I just love the bit in the trailer when she comes out and she's ready to do battle, and he's like,
going,
no.
But when she pops the claws first time, that's amazing.
And she looks every inch the part. She looks absolutely brilliant. So massively high hopes for that. So if you haven't already seen the trailer, or if you aren't following us on Facebook, make sure you follow us on Facebook.
Why aren't you following us on Facebook?
Get on Facebook. And just while we're talking about Facebook, I'm going to bring this up a lot more often, I think, now. Guys out there listening, please react with us a bit more on Facebook. Come and say hello to us on Facebook. Come and give us some ideas of what you want to hear. Come and slag Graham off if you want. Be nice to me, though, because I'm a very sensitive boy. Graham's, he's bigger boned and bigger built than me, so he's thicker skinned. So
thanks very much.
Well, you're welcome. When I say bigger boned, I mean perfectly formed. That's exactly what I mean. And obviously, I always like to follow a compliment as such by allowing someone as big boned and well formed as yourself to give us some news. So. Come on.
Okay, well, if I'm just finishing off, there was two things that I wanted to say about Logan, other than the no bit, which I had down. I love the fact when Logan's stand there reading X-Men comics, flicking through X-Men comics at the start and saying, well, it wasn't like this at all, which I thought was a brilliant move.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I should have mentioned that. I was sat on the balcony with my flatmate saying that moment in the trailer, to me, seems like a real kind of watershed moment for the Marvel films. It's almost like an acceptance of the fact that when Stan Lee and Jack Kirby and Ditko and all those guys were bringing these comics out into the world, those comics were very much set in a world where they lived, weren't they?
Absolutely.
And this is now kind of that acceptance. So what I said to my flatmate was, I would love to see a Stan Lee cameo in this, with Stan Lee playing Stan Lee. I think that would be quite a natty little move. But
yes,
anyway,
indeed.
sorry, I didn't mean to trample all over whatever you were saying.
No, that's fine. And the second bit I liked was the fact that the very end scene, when he's driving her in the car and her hand is up on the car door and she's got the blooded knuckles, where obviously
where she's shown her claws
have popped out. Yes, indeed. Which obviously shows that she may have inherited the claws, but hasn't inherited the healing power.
Indeed. That little bit of imagery actually at the end, I don't know whether it's what they're going for, but it really reminded me of a couple of scenes from Badlands.
Yes, well, I mean, the whole thing has a very bleached out feel of Badlands.
Real road movie kind of vibe about it.
Absolutely.
I think all involved look very good.
Wait.
Yeah, I think that's definitely going to be a trip to the cinema for you and I, sir.
Yes,
and we can hold hands if you like as well.
I fully concur.
Excellent stuff. News me, come on, news me.
Well, I mean, it isn't news. It's simply, there's a few more trailers that I've watched of late and enjoyed, and we didn't mention them last week. So I just wanted really to talk about them and get your thoughts on them, because I mean, one thing that sort of quite famously is when we're not doing this, I don't really watch trailers.
No, you don't.
I kind of stay away from it, and it's only as part of this that I've started watching them, and there's some stuff out there, some of which I've enjoyed, some of it I'm a bit indifferent on. I just wanted to get your take on things, really.
Go on, then.
So, one that is hugely relevant to us, that dropped, less a trailer and more an announcement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go on.
Blade Runner 2049.
Do you know, we didn't talk about it, did we?
We didn't.
What sort of Geek-Minded podcasters are we?
Now, when this film was first announced, as is my usual grumpy way, I was very anti it. I think Blade Runner is a great standalone film.
Yep.
And I don't feel it needs to be sequelised in any way, shape or form.
Yep.
However, they've done so. What were your thoughts on the trailer? Which was pretty much just sort of one scene rather than a trailer of lots of scenes. It was
my underlying thought for it was the fact that how well they'd captured the original kind of look and feel and sound of the original in such a short trailer. As you well know, I've got a massive, massive man crush on the Gosling.
Who hasn't? We're only human.
Well, exactly. I mean, he just seems to be the perfect kind of person to have picked to go into that universe, I think.
Yes.
The only thing that confuses me about the trailer is the fact that, depending on which camp you're in, as to whether or not Deckard is a replicant, which has very much now been kind of answered by the director himself, as in the fact he is a replicant. In this trailer, why is he aged? I don't get that, because
I thought that was one thing that they'd specifically put into some replicants, the ability to age.
Right. Okay.
That's sort of one of the things I thought Tyrell touched upon.
Yeah.
In the original film.
Okay, that's maybe say I've just overlooked completely, but I mean, on the whole, I couldn't be happy with the trailer. I'm really genuinely very excited about it.
I am too. Having poo-pooed the idea of it, having seen this, and obviously seeing, the new Blade Runner, Ryan Gosling, meeting, the old Blade Runner, Harrison Ford, I thought looked absolutely wonderful, and I'm now very much looking forward to it.
It also looks to me as well that Harrison Ford, as much as he did give his all in The Force Awakens, he looks more comfortable as Deckard now than he did as Han Solo in The Force Awakens.
Yes, very much so.
I think it's
very much so.
I think having this X amount of years between the films probably is going to do it a massive justice. As long as they remember to kind of have a few little callbacks, I think, to some other things from the original. I want to see more mention of Roy Batty, and I want to see more mention of Pris, and I want to hear what's been going on for those years in between. So yeah, I'm excited. Yeah. I am excited.
Now I'm going to very quickly, because I know that obviously the Monkey Farm can't stay open forever.
No, it can't.
I'm going to run through 4 trailers
Go on.
that dropped over the last 2 or 3 months.
Do it.
And in one sentence, I just want to get your feelings on all of them.
Okay.
First one, War for the Planet of the Apes.
Seen it before. That's it. That's my sentence for that.
Right. Harrelson.
Love him very, very dearly. Absolutely love him very dearly, but it looks to me like he's channeling Matthew McConaughey from Reign of Fire.
Right, okay.
You know the movie I mean about the dragons?
Yeah, I know. Christian Bale.
Yeah,
yep.
Yeah, even down to the point where there's the scene with him shaving his head with a knife, which
yes,
I believe
indeed.
McConaughey does in Reign of Fire. I love Woody Harrelson. I mean, if anything, he's probably going to be the thing that will save the movie. And I've liked the two previous ones, apart from the fact the second one, I believe, was it the second one that had the kid from Harry Potter in? Or was that the first one?
First one, yes. Yeah, he's the nasty. He's Caesar's keeper.
Yeah, and I as an actor, I just can't stand him. Apparently, he's a very nice chap, but I just think he's a terrible actor. But I did like the first two films, so I will definitely watch it. But
cool.
Can't help feeling I've seen it before.
Right. The Mummy.
Of Tom Cruise?
Yeah.
Show me the Mummy.
Hey!
How that's not the fucking tagline for the movie, I do not know. I couldn't be less interested. I don't think Tom Cruise has got any business being in that sort of a film.
I completely agree. Very odd choice.
Don't get me wrong. Interview with a Vampire is a great film, I think. It genuinely is a great film. But that's as far as I think Tom Cruise should venture into the realms of horror, if you like.
Right, okay. Next one, Kong Skull Island.
Again, not overly interested, if I'm honest. I thought Peter Jackson's Kong was good, but it was over long, or over Kong, however you want to put it. Do we need another King Kong movie now? I'm not sure it's the right time for it.
I just like John C. Reilly popping out and saying, "Oh, hang on," and clearly there for the yucks.
Yeah.
And saying, Kong isn't a bad guy. If you leave him alone, he's fine. The bad guys are the skull crackers.
Yeah. I just can't be bothered. I really cannot be bothered. But you're right, John C. Reilly immediately adds, value to anything he's in. I don't know if you've ever seen him playing the character that Tim and Eric wrote for him called Steve Brule, Dr. Steve Brule. If you've never,
I don't believe.
If
so.
You've never seen it, look him up on YouTube. That's not just to you; that's to the listeners as well. Look up Brule's Rules. He's amazing.
And then finally, Alien Covenant.
Yes, very excited. It looked grim and grotty.
Yeah.
I mean, the uniforms look amazing. Danny McBride, who in my eyes can do absolutely no wrong. I think he's an absolutely brilliant choice for a crew member.
Much more going on than the first film. The first film was a bit thinking, a bit slow paced, and I think Ridley's realised that and has, gone back to what he knows works.
Yeah.
For this one.
If I had to pick out a part from the trailer that I thought was a bit sucky, it was the shower scene.
The tail coming?
I don't buy it. I love the freshly showered girl kind of getting sprayed in the blood. That looks cool. Of course, it looks cool. I mean, it's always going to be a great moment in a horror or sci-fi horror movie, but. Yeah, I could have done without that. Hopefully that's something that will hit the cutting room floor.
Okay, that's all I had, sir.
Excellent. Get out of my monkey farm, sir.
I'm going. Goodbye.
Get out.
And now we should move on to this week's Quick Hits.
Quick Hits.
I believe, sir, it's you first this week, because I think I went first last time.
It is me first this week. You're absolutely right. And I'm going back to my usual source of Quick Hits, which is comics.
Lovely.
Comic books, call them what you will. This was a lovely little comic book series that came out from sort of late 2015 into 2016. Are you a fan of Superman?
I kind of am, and I'm not. I do like Superman. I appreciate the character, but I always find him, for want of better words, a little bit too much of a Boy Scout.
I can see that, yes. One of my big criticisms of Superman is what's the threat going to be?
Well, yeah.
For somebody who has godlike powers, how are you going to challenge him?
Of course, yeah.
But anyway, this one is interesting for two reasons. The first one being that it was a 7-part series with each part being a standalone story told throughout a various point of Clark Kent's life, with each issue drawn by a different artist.
Okay.
Which sort of broke the series up quite nicely. And the second interesting point is all 7 issues are written by Max Landis.
Oh, no, that is interesting.
Son of John Landis, the director. Obviously, Max, a sort of screenwriter of his own accord. But yeah, he came to comics and told his Superman stories in this series, which was really good. Yeah, so as I say, sort of 7 parts. Issue 1 was drawn by Nick Dragotta, in which a very young Clark, who's dealing with the onset of his powers, particularly flying, and how his parents dealt with that.
Yeah.
Issue 2, which was my favourite, art by Tommy Lee Edwards, has a teenage Clark and his best friend Pete Ross are caught up in the aftermath of a violent robbery in Smallville. Okay. That's excellent, really enjoyed that. Third part, drawn by Joel Jones. This was very interesting. You've got Clark, he's now 21. He's in a plane that crashes into the ocean and he's rescued by a huge yacht.
Yeah.
That is hosting a birthday party.
Right.
And he is mistaken for the person whose birthday it is, and therefore because of that, he actually takes on the role of that person and pretends he is that person.
Okay.
And that person is the billionaire playboy Bruce Wayne.
Oh, okay. I like that idea as well. Do you know what? Now you're talking about this, I seem to remember seeing an interview some years back with Max Landis, and he was talking about doing this.
Right, okay.
I can't think where I saw it, but I'm very intrigued now.
Right. Well, funny enough, I nearly bought you this for Christmas. I very nearly bought you the hardcover only because of the Max Landis
the connection.
Connection that I thought you'd find interesting.
But I was more than happy with my Camp Crystal Lake pennant flag, so...
There you go.
Yeah.
Excellent.
There you go, sir.
The fourth issue, drawn by Jay Lee. Clark is now a journalist at college, and he travels to Metropolis because there's a summit between Oliver Queen, who's obviously the Green Arrow, Lex Luthor, and Bruce Wayne. But he runs into another upcoming journalist who's also trying to get an internship at the Daily Planet by the name of Lois Lane.
So nice that he's kept all the connections there. I mean,
absolutely. So that's the first time he encounters her. Issue 5, art by Francis Manapul. Clark is now in Metropolis and he's now patrolling the city in his pre-Superman form. He's only known as the Flying Man. And this is a story of how he encounters his first supervillain, but also how his appearance causes friction with Lex Luthor, and we see him go toe-to-toe with Lex Luthor for the first time.
Like it.
Issue 6, art by Jonathan Case. Pete Ross and another friend from Smallville visit Clark, and Superman's sort of growing popularity within Metropolis causes some friction between them. Now this one is a standout because it has my favourite cover. It's lots of people, all in black and white, but they're all wearing under their shirts Superman t-shirts.
Right, okay.
And so they're all pulling their shirts open, and the Superman t-shirts are all in colour. And there's a crowd of about 50 people, in the middle of which is Clark, just in his normal civvies, going shh.
Very cool.
Towards the reader. And I think that's a fantastic cover.
Almost a bit anonymous kind of style. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Sort of blending in and saying, keep quiet kind of thing.
I like that.
And then the last issue was art by Jock, the British artist, or Scottish artist, I could say. And in this, Lobo turns up in Metropolis.
Yay.
And during his clash with Superman, reveals some shocking truths about Clark's history on Krypton, the fallout of which has a direct impact on Clark's relationship with Lois. And it is just such a lovely series. It's 7 great stories, each with great art. The early issues, I think it's the first 4 or 5, also feature at the end just a 1-page story, also written by Max Landis, and relevant to us because the one in issue 4, the art is by Steve Dillon.
Ah.
Which was lovely. So yeah, it's all 7 issues are gathered in a lovely hardcover at the minute, which is about 18-19 quid on Amazon. And for anybody who's interested, well worth it. It's taken little stories from various parts of Clark's life, told them chronologically, and it's just a really, really lovely series.
Can I just ask, does Jimmy Olsen make an appearance at any stage?
Do you know what? It's so long since I've read it, I honestly can't remember.
But you'd remember if they made him a CIA agent.
Yes, I definitely would.
And shot him,
yes.
wouldn't you? Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Because that's not what you do with characters like that.
No, indeed it isn't. It indeed isn't. Yeah, so that's Superman American Alien is my quick hit for this week.
Wonderful stuff, sir. Thank you very much. I think my quick hit this week is going to quite surprise you.
Oh, go on.
I'll tell you for why. It is a book, sir.
Blimey.
Yeah.
We got ourselves a reader.
This is someone who famously describes himself as someone who only really reads comics and graphic novels. I shouldn't really, because I've got a cupboard. I've got a cupboard full of. I don't even bother reading them anymore. It's all bad news, isn't it? Quit smoking. Oh, it's going to kill you. Blah, fucking blah. I have got a cupboard full of books, but I tend not to really buy books for myself anymore because I don't feel like I've got the time to read them. But
no.
If I was to say to you, "My name is Inigo Montoya. You kill my father, prepare to die." Would that ring any bells with you? Would that mean anything? Yes, it would. To you? What would that be from?
That would be The Princess Bride.
Which, when I was growing up, was one of my favourite films. Yep. It is a wonderful, wonderful film.
Indeed it is.
Now, imagine my fucking surprise when I realised, well, didn't realise, had it pointed out to me a few weeks ago, that this was originally a book.
Based on a book, yep.
I really didn't know that. I'd just taken for granted that the film was such an amazing thing in my childhood that it was just a film that was made.
It was well thick.
Exactly, but apparently it is a book, and it is by a chap called William Goldman, who also wrote, he won 2 Academy Awards for Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid and All the President's Men. I did not know this. And I genuinely feel dumb for not knowing this. So
We've really learnt something today.
Well, someone very lovely bought me a copy of the Princess Bride book, and I must admit, this is a little bit unheard of for us on Quick Hits, because normally when we do a Quick Hit, it's something that we know very well. Now, I'm currently halfway through this.
Okay.
And I tell you what, if you love the film, this book is just going to make you... it's just going to blow your mind. It is so much better than the film. I know that people can say that about all books, and I know people always say the book is better than the film. There are some instances that's true, and there are some instances not.
Does the book have Billy Crystal and Carol Kane in it?
Well, not actually in the book itself.
Well, no, it's not as good as the film, then, is it?
But the characters are in there as well. But I tell you, it's really, really lovely. There is there is an absolutely wonderful foreword in here.
4 words? A short book, then?
Yeah, it's a very short book. But it just basically, it kind of sums up everyone who was ever a fan of the movie. And it's basically a call to arms, just basically saying, if you're reading this, dollars to donuts, you've seen the movie. It was a mild success when it first hit theatres, but word of mouth caught up when the video cassette came out. Probably a big hit in video stores then, and it still is now. If you have kids, you've probably watched it with them. Have you watched this with your little ones? Have you watched The Princess Bride with your 2 little ones?
I haven't. I almost think, in many ways, it's quite sort of frivolous and good for youngsters, but I sort of worry that the intricacies of it's actually a very sort of clever story.
Yeah.
Obviously, it is just a fantasy adventure, but it's a bit of a thinker as well.
Very much
and
so, yeah.
I don't want to show this to them and have them get bored. I'd much rather wait for them to be a bit older so that they fully appreciate it.
Yeah, very much so. As I say, I mean, my quick hit this week is literally going to be a quick hit because I'm only halfway through the book, but it was more an exclamation of, fuck, I never knew this was a book. So it's to prove that even though we are geek-minded fools, my friend, we can always still learn.
Of course we can.
Isn't that wonderful?
Life is all about learning. We never stop learning.
We got ourselves a reader. What you reading for? I know, so I don't know if a fucking waffle waitress like you. So there you go, mate. A very, very quick hit this week. But as I say, I just wanted to, in case there were other idiots like me out there, didn't realise The Princess Bride was a book. There you go.
Wow. Right, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
And now we shall move on to this week's miscellaneous debris. Right, got a few things to talk about this week, I believe.
Yes, indeed, sir.
Shall I kick off with one?
Why not?
I've got something.
Why not?
One thing that I was going to mention last week, but I think we were a little pushed for time, so wanting to make sure we mention it this week, was did you hear about Steve Martin's tweet about Carrie Fisher?
No, I didn't.
When she died?
No, I did not.
Steve Martin put on Twitter what I thought was a lovely tweet about Carrie Fisher's passing.
Yeah.
And got such a backlash from the internet that he had to delete it, and he got a lot of shit for it, and I think it's absolutely disgraceful.
What?
And I just wanted to...
Have you got the body of the tweet there? You've got the...
Talk about it, really. This is what he wrote word for word.
Okay.
When I was a young man, Carrie Fisher was the most beautiful creature I had ever seen. She turned out to be witty and bright as well.
Okay, that's it.
As usual, people with far too much time on their hands decided they were going to be absolutely outraged, and he got such shit about it that he had to delete that tweet, and people were still talking about it.
I can't understand.
Online.
I can't understand why there's hate being directed
People were
towards him.
saying, I mean, the vitriol seemed to be twofold. The first thing they were saying was, why were you judging her on her looks and only later did you find out she was witty and bright? And also there seemed to be some people who were complaining about the fact that he referred to her as a beautiful creature.
But that's just
referring
pathetic.
to somebody as a creature. And
I'm not just saying this. I know for a fact that in the past couple of weeks I've referred to someone as a beautiful creature.
I know. I mean, surely we are all by nature creatures.
Well, yeah, all creatures great and small.
And sort of beautiful creature is a well-known phrase.
Yeah.
It is a well-known wording. And people are saying, why were you judging her on her looks? Why did you? We as a race judge everyone by their looks, because the first thing you see about somebody is their looks. People's personalities are not writ large across their forehead. Tinder. You don't swipe left or right on Tinder based on somebody's personality.
No, very much.
You are judging people entirely on their looks. We do it all every single day. And for him to say, when I was a young man, Carrie Fisher was the most beautiful creature I'd ever seen, chances are he hadn't met her. He'd seen her. He'd either seen photos of it, he'd seen her with Debbie Reynolds, or he'd seen her in Star Wars. He had seen her. The first thing he did was see her. Only when he met her did he find out that her personality was as good, if not better, than her looks. And I think that's a perfectly reasonable thing to say. And it absolutely drives me nuts. And to me, this is why we're living in a world where we have Brexit and we have a President Trump, is because people are so fucked off with the wishy-washy left jumping on everything. The phrase "it's political correctness gone mad" has never been more relevant than it is today. People are just waiting to be outraged about stuff, and it's reached a stage where you can't say or do anything without something jumping on your back. And I think the backlash about it, people saying we need to be able to speak the truth, we need to be able to speak our minds without people getting at us the whole time, that's meant we're in the fucking predicament we're in now, and it drives me balmy.
See, I don't see why that tweet is any different to, say, BBC or Sky News or CNN or any of the myriad of news stations describing Carrie Fisher as most young boys' childhood dream. Because, those were words that you heard bandied about, weren't they? Every boy's first crush. And yes, she was. Yep. Of course she was, because she was beautiful. But it doesn't take an idiot to listen to the words that Steve Martin has said to know that exactly what he means is exactly what you've just said, which is, I had a crush on her when I was young, but when I met her I realised she wasn't just a beautiful woman, she was a smart, intelligent and witty woman as well.
There was so much more to her,
that's it's pathetic. That's
but
pathetic.
Isn't that how we all are with people? I mean, I don't know if it's a feminist agenda, if it's sort of feminists who are leaping on there, but, going back to a point we made a few episodes ago, in Ghostbusters, where Kristen Wiig's character treated Chris Hemsworth's character. She was drooling all over him based solely on his looks, because his character was as thick as shit. So it wasn't his personality she was attracted to. And I think this is it. You can't have it both ways. To me, you can't say a man's not allowed to say that about a woman, but it's fine for a woman to say that about a man because women have been oppressed for so long. I just want equality. I want a level playing field for everybody. Whether it's to do with the way people are treated in life, jobs, pay, social status. We want equality for all. But why the hell are you not allowed to say somebody was beautiful when you first saw them, and then later you found out that they were as bright and witty as they were beautiful? It seems ridiculous.
The unfortunate thing in this respect is the fact that the internet is full of trolls, and there are what you would refer to as professional trolls. There are people who do it just for the fun of doing it.
Trolls do it to get a rise out of people. I think some people were genuinely upset about this. They were so full of righteous indignation that somebody should be judged on their looks rather than their personality. And yet that is human nature. The first thing you do when you see somebody is look at them and size up their looks, because it's the first interaction you have with any other person. Only later, when you talk to them, do you get to find out about their personality. It just absolutely beggars belief. But that really did piss me off, and I just wanted to mention it.
You just wanted to vent your spleen.
Well, and Steve Martin of all people. I mean, Steve
one
Martin,
of the nicest men in the world.
Precisely. Somebody who cares about that sort of thing. And to me, just a lovely tribute like that got turned into something ridiculous by, the people who are so easily offended they're just looking for things to be pissed off about. And I think that's one of the reasons that this bloody, not just this country, but this world is in the state it's in, because people are starting to push back about that, against that. It is the overprotective left are pissing people off and allowing the far righters in, and that's a really scary place to be.
Oh, I don't want to talk about this anymore. It's making me feel sad. But I'm
sorry.
No, don't be sorry. I love you. Don't be sorry. It's our mission in 2017 to keep bringing the love. Okay, let's keep bringing the love. But
absolutely.
In the same light, let's keep bringing nonsense like this to light, because
yes, definitely,
it's not needed. It's really, really not needed. Let's talk about something nice. Let's talk about me. Let's go for a swim in Lake Me. I've had a very busy week. I'm going to tell you about my week, and I'm going to tell you about it in reverse order.
Oh, okay.
Starting with
Memento style.
Memento style, yeah. Starting with the fact that I arrived to the podcast tonight over an hour late. I'm very, very incredibly sorry because of the terrible fucking travel situation in London, where they appear to just be striking willy-nilly on the tubes. But I digress, because that's not what you want to hear, listeners. You want to hear what I've been up to for the past week, so I'm going to tell you. Graham, do you like beer?
Yes,
you
do, don't you? I like beer. I've partaken of some in my time.
You've imbibed. As you well know, I no longer imbibe. I no longer drink. So
no.
So for me to go earlier this week to a launch party for a new pale ale. I think it's a pale ale. It might be a lager. It smelt like lemons. I can tell you that much. It's not something you would have expected me to do, but I did. And this particular launch was a lovely pub in Covent Garden called the Porterhouse. It's a friend of both of ours, who's a fellow Geek-Minded fool as well, Mike Drinkwater.
Oh yes, good old Mike.
It was a launch party for his little baby, which is Motorhead Road Crew beer. And at this launch, it was very cool. It was free booze from 6 until 11 p.m. And the kicker was, at the launch party last night were the remaining members of Motorhead. So
cool.
Got to meet Phil Campbell, the guitarist, and Mickey D, the drummer, who's a lot smaller in real life than I thought he was, I must admit. In fact, he looks a little bit like a grey-haired version of
Warwick Davis.
No, I'm going to say Derek Smalls from Spinal Tap.
Oh, okay.
Without the facial fungus, but very, very nice guys. And they all did a photo call for fans who turned up. Some people had come down on minibuses from Wales just to have a drink with these guys. And I only really wanted to mention it because, as I say, it was Mike's kind of do that he'd arranged, and he did such a great job of it. So if listeners, you are out in a pub in the next few months and you see behind the bar on a beautiful tap the Motorhead Road Crew beer, have a little try, because apparently it's lovely. I'm none the fucking wiser because I was drinking Coke all night. But gathering by how pissed everyone was when they left, it must have been pretty good. Also, this week, sir, I've been getting what you might call a bit of culture in my life. Only a wee bit, but a bit of culture. I don't know if I've ever told you how much of a huge fan I am of Oliver Reed.
No, I don't believe you've ever mentioned that. I
genuinely am. I adore, that our staple of British actors from that kind of era. Your Oliver Reeds, your Malcolm McDowells, your Alan Bates, these kind of actors. I was very, very lucky enough to get invited along to a one-man show, which is written by a guy called Mike Davis and another chap called Rob Crouch, performed by Rob Crouch as Oliver Reed. The show was called Wild Thing. It was so good, it genuinely, twice throughout the performance, moved me to tears. This guy is Oliver Reed. The whole setup of the show is it's a very, very kind of intimate show. There's a bar set up, obviously, for Ollie Reed, and just a table and a few props. Oliver Reed comes on stage, and I'm gonna refer to him as Oliver Reed throughout, because although the actor performing is Rob Crouch, to see him, you would just be astounded. His mannerisms, his little vocal tics, it's just all there. He is Oliver Reed. It opens with him giving you a little synopsis of the current film he's working on, which at the time would have been Gladiator. because unfortunately he passed away, didn't he, in Malta whilst out drinking with the crew.
Yeah, he did.
And then it continues to kind of tell Oliver Reed's story from school, all the way up through getting his first break and working in as a doorman in a Soho kind of gentleman's club, and working all the way through up until working on Gladiator. But there's a few moments during this show, as I say, that really do move you to tears, and one in particular I was really hoping it was going to get touched upon, because it reminds me a little bit of you and I. Keith Moon and Oliver Reed, I truly consider to be the original bromance, because they were very, very close, and the moment in this kind of One Man performance where Oliver Reed is talking about Keith Moon, you can see the actor portraying him, Rob Crouch, has got a genuine kind of lump in his throat and almost a tear in his eye when he's kind of reminiscing about Keith Moon. And he tells two of my favourite stories about Keith Moon, one of which I think I've probably told on the podcast before. I think I've possibly told it anyway, regarding Keith Moon turning up to Oliver Reed's stately pile in a helicopter, and Oliver Reed not knowing who the hell Keith Moon was and going out and attacking him with a broadsword or a double-barreled shotgun, depending on which version of the story you got at the time from Oliver Reed. And also the story of those guys completely and utterly trashing a hotel room, doing the famous telly out the window kind of trick, and then both leaning out the window waiting for the porter to come out, only for Keith Moon to shout down, "You better be careful, mate, the fucking wardrobe's coming next unless you answer the phone." And I just think that's absolutely brilliant. Just purely amazing. We were also very, very lucky as well to meet Rob Crouch in the bar afterwards, and he's an absolutely wonderful, lovely chap. I don't know if you managed to catch a TV show on BBC about 6 months to a year ago called The Rack Pack, which was all about Steve Davis.
No.
It's still on iPlayer, if you get a chance, watch it. But he was actually in that, in a real blink and you'll miss it moment, as Oliver Reed, and I think he got this one-man show off the back of it. It's had absolutely rave reviews from all over. It's been reviewed by Time Out and Daily Telegraph, The Guardian, The Times.
Time Out's still going?
I believe so. Yeah, I might have.
Blimey.
I may have misquoted myself there from my notes. I may have written the Times, the Time Out, when I should have written the Times there, my friend. So.
Oh, okay.
But I felt that although it's had all these great reviews, you're only really going to get noticed if you're mentioned on Geek-Minded Fools.
True.
So that's why I chose to talk to you about it. But it's a very, very sad kind of last 15, 20 minutes of the show, because it's just talking about, I don't know if you ever remember that famous performance on The Word of Oliver Reed when he did
Wild Thing.
Wild Thing. And he's got that awful leather jacket with Mickey Mouse on the back. Well, that very awful leather jacket is actually in the one-man show, and it is the leather jacket because Rob Crouch is so very good as Oliver Reed that there's a little quote from Mark Reed, who's Oliver's son, who says it just captures his very spirit, superbly entertaining. Oliver Reed's daughter actually gave Rob Crouch the leather jacket so he could use it, and gifted it to him. But yeah, it's unfortunately going to be ending very soon, the show, but I'm sure it'll come around again soon. I really hope so, and I really hope that someone kind of chases Rob Crouch up to kind of get a biopic off the ground, because I tell you what, he is Oliver Reed. He just plays him amazingly. And it was really nice to have a bit of culture for the evening as well, my friend.
Indeed.
There you go. Something a bit different for the Geek-Minded Fools.
Hark at you, yes, indeed.
I know. As I sit here podcasting in a waistcoat and tie.
Yes,
nothing else on at all. But just a waistcoat.
Hey,
and tie.
no pants.
No pants.
One thing I wanted to mention, getting back to something that is very much up our Geek-Minded avenue.
Yes.
It's been commented upon how unusual my hatred of Deadpool is, given the current climate with the movie, and people are very surprised that even though I've always hated the character, I didn't like the movie.
Yeah.
And I think when we were doing our review, when there was one film that I was trying to, in a way, defend X-Men Apocalypse, and you went, and you hated Deadpool?
Yeah.
Which
just to interject for 2 seconds, one of our listeners, Rupert, actually said, "Do you know what? Favourite bit of the episode was your X-Men Apocalypse review." It was my favourite bit as well. Thanks, Rupert.
Yeah, so I just wanted to go over it, really.
Go on.
Just to sort of try and explain the background of my hatred of the character. Now, Now, Deadpool first appeared in New Mutants issue 98 back in 1991, and for many, many years, it was a nothing intro. The big issue of New Mutants was issue 87. I mean, New Mutants 87 was always the big money issue because it was the first issue of Cable. Rob Liefeld had introduced Cable in that issue. So this guy called Deadpool being introduced in issue 98 very much under the radar. He was created by Rob Liefeld. Rob Liefeld initially did the concept art for him and took it to the guy who was writing the title at the time, Fabian Nicieza. And when he showed him to it and described him to it, Fabian Nicieza famously said, that's the DC character Deathstroke.
Yeah.
And hence why Deathstroke, who's obviously a DC mercenary called Slade Wilson, as a piss take, Rob Liefeld decided he would call him Wade Wilson. Sort of almost make out that he was a family member.
Yeah.
Liefeld has also famously been quoted as the fact that two characters who were very popular at the time and were sharing a lot of titles were Spider-Man and Wolverine.
Yeah.
And Liefeld said he'd have loved to be able to play with them, but wasn't able to because they were in other titles. And so he wanted to create his own Spider-Man and his own Wolverine. So he created Deadpool and Cable.
Yeah.
So that he could play with a Spider-Man-like character and a Wolverine-like character. And so suddenly you're getting a character who, it was a blink and you miss it introduction. Nobody really cared. And he was a piss take. He was a blatant copy of Spider-Man and given the name Wade Wilson as a piss take of Slade Wilson.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind that Slade Wilson had been around for over 10 years at this point. So he was initially just a nothing character and was kind of thrown together as a nod to one character and a piss take of another. He was given his first series in 93, which had very minor success, didn't really sort of, set the world alight. Had another series in 94. It was only when he was given another series in 97 by the writer Joe Kelly that he actually started to take off and started to get some notice. And it was Joe Kelly who introduced the whole breaking the fourth wall and having him talking to the reader. And Joe Kelly has famously said that the reason that he did that and the reason that they started having Deadpool laughing at himself and taking the piss out of himself is because they thought at any minute they were going to get cancelled because they didn't think it was any good.
Okay.
And so they were waiting for the other shoe to drop and people say, actually, this is a bit shit. So they just started doing whatever the fuck they liked and taking the piss out of the whole thing and having this fourth wall breaking. Now, I think that the basic Deadpool titles have had 4 volumes now. So there's been 4 main Deadpool titles.
Okay.
But my problem is that, you know me, I'm the sort of person who I will go out of my way not to follow the crowd, not to follow the herd.
Yeah.
If everyone's walking one way, I will deliberately go out of my way to walk the other. And the thing is, this character that I knew was a Spider-Man clone, and obviously I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. I mean, you've only got to look at the fact he has a red costume. You've only got to look at the fact that his eyes are black with white eye holes. Okay, they're small white eye holes, but they can get big when he's surprised. And he very much, he's a Spider-Man clone. And he was created as a piss take, and suddenly it started to take off. And everybody said, oh, this Deadpool's really good. And I was like, well, no, it's a Spider-Man rip-off. And it's almost like one of those things where if you can imagine your favourite band, somebody starts a cover band of them.
Okay.
Almost as a piss take of them, and suddenly that cover band starts to become really popular until it's viewed alongside your favourite band.
Yeah.
Not only that, but then people suddenly start saying, oh, I love this cover band, they're great, aren't they? And you're the one who sat there saying, well, no, they were just a piss take of my favourite band, and now suddenly you think they're as good as them. And that's kind of how I feel about the character. Another thing that I hate, and this is something we've spoken about before, is when things get popular, you get absolute market saturation. And this has never been truer than with Deadpool. And again, it's a sort of thing that the more popular something gets, through word of mouth or what have you, the more titles they put out.
I think you pointed out to me, didn't you, when the Secret Wars thing dropped, that there was at one stage X amount of Deadpool covers, weren't there? Was like 5 or 6 covers.
Yeah, I mean, you would open up the Marvel previews, which is like the catalogue of all the stuff, and there was about 8 pages of Deadpool titles.
Yeah.
Just one after another. You're kind of going, Jesus Christ. And another thing I didn't like was, do you remember I told you that when they relaunched Deadpool at the end of 2015, they had a secret story variant cover, whereby the first 20 issues would all have a variant cover, which was 1 page of a 20-page story. So if you wanted to read that story, you had to buy 20 additional issues in order to get that. Now,
that sucks a bit, doesn't it? Yeah.
Just to go through, since 2009, and this is not the core titles, this is not the core Deadpool title, this is just other spin-off titles, whether it's mini-series or one-shots. In 2009, there was 3 other Deadpool titles. 2010, 5 other Deadpool titles. 2011, 7 other Deadpool titles. 2012 and 2013, only 2 each year. So, a bit of a quiet time. 2014, there was 8 additional Deadpool titles. 2015, 5 additional Deadpool titles. Last year, 2016, 7 additional Deadpool titles. Currently, not only do you have the normal Deadpool title, you've also got a ongoing Spider-Man Deadpool series. You've got an ongoing Deadpools and the Mercs for Money series. You've got a mini-series called Deadpool the Duck, which is a merging between Deadpool and Howard the Duck. And you've also got a title, which is sort of intermittent, called Gwenpool, because there's a character called Spider-Gwen, which span out of the Spider-Verse title, which is Gwen Stacy is alive in her universe. She's alive. Peter Parker died. She's therefore the spider hero, and she calls herself Spider-Gwen. And it's a merging of her character and Deadpool. So it's called Gwenpool. And, you know, you can understand, if this started off as what I consider to be a nothing character, who was a piss-take of my favourite character, and who suddenly, for reasons I don't quite understand, gained huge popularity, so that suddenly there's a film that everybody loves, and yet they're just milking it so much, and it's like I say, imagine your favourite band had a cover band, and then suddenly that cover band gets so big and they end up doing an album with the initial thing, and people love them, and then there's a movie made about them, and that's what, you know, you would start to think they're just a fucking cover band. That's all. They're a piss-taking cover band. Why are you taking this seriously? And that's why I absolutely just despise the character. And the fact is, no matter how good that film was, and it was decent in places, but I hate that character so much that I was
I don't think you said that last time, did you? Did you say that it was decent in places?
Yes, no, because I said I liked the parts when he wasn't Deadpool, when he was Wade Wilson.
Of course,
but
sorry,
I think
you did say that.
That is due to Ryan Reynolds' charisma, and I do like Ryan Reynolds, and I said that at the time, and it's a shame that he was playing him, because I have a lot of time for Ryan Reynolds. I think he's a good actor. I think he's a good person, but him playing this character, I was never going to like it. And therefore, no matter how good that film could have been the Citizen fucking Kane of superhero movies, and I'd have walked out going, what a load of shit, I fucking hate it.
Do you know it
was just always going to happen.
The only thing I can liken this to is, you remember that time we did the commentary for The Amazing Spider-Man? See, you're being exactly the same as you were when we did that, but actually with a voice. Whereas before, with The Amazing Spider-Man, considering we were doing a commentary, which mostly consisted of you just going, "Oh God,
oh no,
oh no."
Yeah.
So, I'm just going to ask: Are you? Is that rant over?
Well, no, that obviously became a rant, but it was just me trying to make it clear to people that this isn't just me saying, oh, Deadpool's just a character I don't like. I just don't understand the popularity of the character. He's a piss-take, he's a rip-off, but also, I don't follow the crowd, which means the more people will say to me, oh, I love this character, you should be reading this character, the less likely I am to anyway. Yeah. If it's a character that I started off disliking, you can understand why I have such vitriol in my heart towards this imaginary character, and therefore when he became real on the cinema screen, I was just never ever going to like it.
Do you know what? You've just given me the most fabulous idea.
Go on.
That I think you're going to hate, and that's why I'm going to love it. I reckon, currently so far on our Facebook page, we've got about 560, 570 followers on Facebook.
Yes, we have indeed, yep.
All right. Guys, all you listeners out there, if we can get our followers up to, let's say the moment we get our followers up to 1,000 on Facebook, which is easily doable if you guys all share, okay? Everyone on Facebook, share the hell out of the podcast, get all your mates to listen to it. If we can get 1,000 followers on Facebook, Graham and I will do a commentary on Deadpool.
I'll tell you what, we don't even need 1,000 followers. If we can get 10 people, every episode I do a Facebook post to say, you know, new episode's out, this is where you can find it, blah, blah, blah. If we can get 10 people responding to the post for this episode saying, I want Graham and Scott to do a Deadpool commentary. If we can get 10 people to do that, I will happily do a Deadpool commentary with you.
All right, shake on it. Shake on it.
Absolutely.
Excellent stuff. Right, you've heard that, listeners. So, it's, you know, let's put your listening ears where your mouth is, or whatever the saying. I don't know if you can have a saying.
No idea what that means.
Nah, they'll know though. They'll know. Well, I'm glad that you got that off your chest, mate, because I know that was kind of bogging you down a bit.
I really just wanted to make it clear why I dislike the character. You know, it isn't just for no reason.
No.
It is a multi-layered reason why I have history with that character. And again, it's like if something you dislike becomes more and more popular and everybody's saying to you, you know, particularly when you say, oh, I read comics, and they say, oh, do you read Deadpool? I love Deadpool. And, oh, fuck. Yeah. It's almost replaced people saying, you know, sort of go back 10, 15, 20 years. When you said to someone, oh, I read comics, they used to say, oh, what, you mean like the Beano? Whereas now it's, oh, do you read Deadpool? I love Deadpool. Oh, you know.
You are a purist, sir, and that's why I love you.
I am indeed.
You are a purist.
There was one thing, obviously, I edit the podcast, and therefore, you know, sometimes as I'm going through things, I will hear the same episode again and again and again. And I just wanted to have a conversation with you, sort of, not really to pick you up on something you said, but just sort of to have a conversation about it, just to sort of get your feeling on it.
Go on.
I think they were both in episode 41.
Yeah.
Where we were doing reviews of various things. And when we were talking about Luke Cage, I mentioned that I liked the fact that Harlem was used almost as a character within the TV show. And you said this: it's a very clever piece of storytelling that they have ripped directly from comic book writing. Comic book writers are very good at making the venue the character.
Okay.
And then later on, when we were talking about Unfollow, you said this. When I told you what the series was about, you said, this sounds to me like comic books starting to be informed by television. This really sounds like something that would just transfer perfectly to an episodic kind of thing. Let's hope comic book writers aren't getting lazy. Now, one thing that I thought was interesting for both of those is how you seem to think that there's comic book writers and there's TV writers and there's movie writers.
Yeah.
Whereas to me, I don't think somebody coming up with a really clever and original idea and yet publishing it in a comic is him being lazy. It's him having a great idea. I think that any medium is perfect for writers to express themselves. And I don't see why somebody writing a really good comic book that you... Why are you laughing?
Go on, no, carry on. I'll just have a little fit in the corner, don't worry.
That you think would make a really good TV show. Why that makes him lazy?
I think sometimes what happens is I open my mouth and stuff comes out. And if you're not there at the time to talk me off the ledge, I'll just keep going. And you well know this. You know, while I'm in full flow, anything could come out. I mean, I could be talking about big-titted mermaids and a lot.
And often does.
And often does. So I thank you for picking me up on it, but I also have no comeback for it whatsoever. So go for your life. I stand by everything that I can't remember saying.
Because to me, I mean, what I love about it is that in a way that movies used to look down on television.
Yeah.
And now television writing is right up there with movie writing.
Yeah.
Now, I think, you know, particularly when you look at people like Max Landis, who's a screenwriter, coming in and doing comics, and you get, you know, people like the guy who did Unfollow.
Yeah.
People are coming up with great stories, and comic books, you know, you look at sort of some of, you know, classic literature. You know, you said yourself that you think Preacher is not just one of the greatest comic book series of all time, but is one of the greatest pieces of literature of all time. And I think this is it. And I don't think that any medium can sort of sneer at any other medium, because all of them are open methods to express great creative ideas. And I don't think that there's any type of storytelling that even though it could be transferable between mediums, that makes it a bit of a shortcut by using one medium rather than another.
Okay, well, I will take that on board, and by next episode we'll have forgotten all of it. But one thing I will say is I'll make a slight addendum to my previous comments, and why don't we go with the fact that people can write whatever the hell they want, in whatever medium they want.
Absolutely.
As long as the writers of Prison Break aren't involved. Because they're shit. Is that a fair point?
I will go, and maybe DC's Legends of Tomorrow.
I think there's no maybe about it, is there?
Hang on, there's a connection there.
Oh, there fucking is. A double connection, in fact, isn't it? Really?
A double connection.
And kind of almost...
Two actors.
Oh, God. I don't know what we've just discovered. I don't know what we've just uncovered here,
Oh,
Graham.
my God.
But it's not very nice.
We've just ripped a wormhole in the fabric of reality.
We have indeed. We have indeed. I got one more little thing to touch upon before the episode is nearly out.
Go on in.
We did lose someone else quite famous and I think quite dear to my heart as well earlier this month. I'm hoping we don't have to go through every episode talking about a death. I really am. But Gordon Kay from Hello Hello passed away.
He did.
The only reason I bring this up is because a very close friend of ours, Mark, and I think you even know what I'm going to say, don't you?
I do.
A very good friend of ours, Mark, I think came out with one of my favourite jokes of the year, and it's not sneering at a death at all, but he informed me that Gordon Kay had died, and I just went, oh, that's sad, and he just came back with a 2-line text, which was just goodbye, goodbye, and I genuinely think that's quite a nice joke, and it's not a horrible joke. It's
a fitting tribute.
It's a fitting tribute. So Gordon Kay, goodbye.
Goodbye, Gordon.
Yeah.
Yes.
There you go. Have you got anything else for us this week, my friend?
No, sir. That's it. I'm spent.
Do you feel vented? Do you feel relaxed? Should we shake it out?
Always, mate. I always feel relaxed.
Don't go full Rada, but just shake it out.
You know me, mate. I'm a grumpy old git who isn't afraid to speak his mind about any topic.
Well, that'll make two of us, mate.
Yes,
that'll make two of us, indeed. Wonderful stuff. What a lovely episode. I've enjoyed this episode.
Well, I hope people are enjoying the fact that things are a bit more freeform, which is what we intended, rather than just having one topic that we witter on about for 30 minutes. We kind of break it up and hopefully make it a bit more entertaining and engaging for people.
Yeah,
so,
indeed. And as I keep saying, and I will keep banging on about this every single episode from here on in, please, everyone who's listening, get involved, yeah? I know you're going to get bored of me saying it, but I'm not going to stop saying it unless you get involved. So come and see us on Facebook. Tell us we're dickheads. Tell us we're shit. Talk to us. Tell us we're shit if you think we're shit. Tell us we're great if you think we're great.
We know you're out there. We can hear you breathing.
Exactly. We're on YouTube now as well. Get on there and view the videos, share them with your friends. Just interact with us. Let us know what you'd like us to talk about next.
Check out my handiwork on the video for episode 43 and let me know what you think.
Indeed. Have a little look. I mean, we're hoping 2017 is going to be a good year for not just us, but for geeks in general, for all of us.
Indeed.
Not just geeks, in fact, for everyone.
Yes.
For everyone. No more walls. That's it.
Yeah,
everyone is welcome.
Together. Good stuff. Right. Well, thank you very much for that, sir.
No, thank you.
I think we've kicked the shit out of this episode. So
we have indeed, sir.
For Geek-Minded Fools, I've been Graham.
And I've been Scott.
Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.